This is the perfect introduction to bring on a Cleveland legend in his own right, Jason Kipnis, who we are thrilled to have join the ultimate Cleveland sports show. Jason, how you doing today, man?
What's going on, gentlemen? Thank you for having me.
Of course. Jason's part of the Foul Territory show on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. We had Scott Braun on a couple weeks ago. Fantastic show, similar to UCSS, but they talk baseball 24/7. Jason, we'll start with this, but the Guardians are getting ready to take on the Baltimore Orioles this weekend in a series of the two best teams in the American League, according to the records. I know Gavin Williams is not pitching for Cleveland, but they do have Bibee on the mound on Sunday. Who do you give the edge to in this series of American League heavyweights?
I still like with Bibee on the mound, the Cleveland pitching. It always starts with pitching. Starters and bullpen. I still think Cleveland has one of the best bullpens in the entire league. So I give the edge there. But it's hard to really shortchange this Baltimore team right now with how good they look and how young and productive this lineup is of theirs. These are two of my favorite teams to watch in the entire league. There's a reason they're sitting at the top, though.
Jason, you look like you are living your best life right now. Sunshine, hat backwards. Is that a Jeep?
Jeep. Come on now.
I should have known better. Forgive my stupidity.
You better watch your tone. You better put some respect on that. Whoa,
since you afforded that Bentley play in second base, let's talk about where the Guardians are at right now with that, with what Andres Gimenez has given them as a second baseman. I'm really curious to get your perspective on this. Obviously, he's sensational defensively. With Bazzana coming, is this a Bazzana slide Himmy over to short, and how big of a deal is it to make a transition from second base to shortstop?
Eventually it could be. I don't think Bazzana's in the picture anytime soon. Maybe not for until next year.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be that's called up for the run. So, Jimenez he's almost kind of opposite of me. I think he's a glove first defender. He's fantastic in the field. And I was a bad first, kind of second. I think you see how it plays out with them too. Because I know Jimenez can move over to short. So if no one steps up at the shortstop position, I think you guys read it right. I think that is the right move where Jimenez would slide over to short eventually if Bazzana moves that fast up the minor leagues, which I think we all expect him to and hope he does.
I want to ask you a quick follow to that. Why? The fact that they've been between Rocchio and Arias all year at short and they haven't been able to come up with an answer, is that the answer?
Yeah.
The fact you don't have an answer, is that the answer? Have we reached that point?
Sometimes that's an answer itself, but I guess we still got a little bit time to know through the rest of this season and probably the first half of next year too. Again, you want to see if this is all with the production of Bazzana climbing the ranks fast and how fast the organization wants to move him. But if there is no answer, yes, that is the answer in itself. If no one wants to take the reins and grab the position and grab hold of it and force their hand to do anything, which is kind of how I got to second base in my own journey, where just no one was really taking hold of the spot. That benefits someone who's trying to climb that ladder and get to the big leagues. So I think that is the way that it's going to work out. But as a fan of the team, as we all are, I'd like to see having depth is always a good problem to have. So you want to see someone kind of step up and make it a hard decision.
Jason, if they asked you to play in the outfield, would that have been challenging to you? The reason I ask is because we have a whole bunch of middle infielders, and we've seen the center field and right field just get shuffled around, and some guys have struggled, some guys have not. Is that a hard transition to go from second base or shortstop to outfield?
I know it's been a few years, but if you remember, they did ask me of that. My last 2 years, I had it there a little bit, and especially they gave me like 2 weeks before the playoffs started, and I hadn't played it for about 8 years to just go out there. You want to give them a little bit of time. I hope if they do it to someone, they give them a little bit more time to, which I think with that depth and it's in the minor leagues, give someone a spring training, give someone a minor league season out there to really get accustomed to instead of just kind of throwing them into the fire. I personally, and I think I'm in the majority on this, think it's going easier from the infield to. Lost you for a second.
I think we got you back. I can hear you again, Jason.
There we go. Okay. I think it's a little easier going from the infield to the outfield than it is from the outfield to the infield. So the change could be made, but it's just what level do you want them to do it at? Do you want someone who's young making that change up at the big league level where there's TV games everywhere and a mistake can weigh on them mentally more than it would down in the minor leagues where they have a little bit more margin for error and freedom to make those mistakes and get aggressive at balls and really learn the position and instead of just trying to be out there and not screw up.
So given all of that, what do you think about their organizational philosophy of basically stockpile every middle infielder you can find? Like all of their top prospects are middle infield types. And so just that philosophy in general, and then their inability to bundle any of these guys and make a trade now for 3 or 4 years or however long. We've been talking about the 40-man logjam for years, and they've never been able to pull the Padres or the Orioles type of take 3 or 4 guys, put them together, and go get one guy. Why do you think that is?
Listen, unless it's someone where they have a distinguished position coming up the ranks, where it's an obvious third baseman, an obvious big boy first baseman, or something like that, sometimes you just take the best athlete, and the best athlete for infielders are the middle infielders. So I think they have the most flexibility where, let's say, you take athletic shortstop, and let's say he grows and hits a late growth spurt, now you can move him over to third or a first baseman. So I think it gives you the most luxury is why they're stockpiling, and maybe they just haven't been presented with that, no doubt this guy's a third baseman, or no doubt this guy's a first baseman, so stuff like that. However, I wouldn't count it out that it's going to happen in the future when, listen, these guys are going to get older. Someone's going to start playing well, someone might not play well, that they're going to have that logjam really come to the forefront at AAA and the big league level, where they're not going to have the choice. They're going to have to start either moving positions or start trading people. So it's going to happen as soon as these guys get a little bit older and closer and knocking on the door to the big leagues, I think.
Jason, do you see any similarities between your 2016 team and this current Guardians team?
Pitching a little bit. I think both teams had good starting pitching and a really good bullpen, and I think that's what both these teams got. I'd probably take maybe when healthy our starting pitching, but in terms of depth from top to bottom of bullpen, I might take their bullpen this year's. Yes, we had like Cody Allen and Miller and Brian Shaw when they were at their best in that 16 run, but we didn't have like 5 or 6 deep in that bullpen maybe as these guys do. In terms of lineup, I thought we were one of the deepest lineups you could possibly have. I thought it's almost like you had a 20-plus home run guy 1 through 9. You had the big boppers of Edwin, Santana, Napoli, and some other guys to go then with a young Hosey, Lindor, me, Brantley, who was kind of not healthy. So I would take our lineup still over theirs.
You mentioned
Jose. A little
Jose.
biased, but I would.
Of course, and I don't think I would argue that either. But you mentioned Jose there real quick, and Travis, sitting to my right, was shocked to find out that he actually speaks halfway decent English when the media is not around.
Hey, if it's an interview he wants, if it's an interview he wants to do, he's got some pretty good English in there. If it's not on it, he's just gonna blank stare you and pretend he's never heard the English language in his life. If it's a cute girl at a bar, it's a good looking English that he's got on it. Like that was years ago. That was years ago though. So I'm not throwing Hosey under any bus. That was like a decade ago with me, before whatever marriage he had and kids he has now.
No, we love Jose. I was just, hopefully you could tell us just a little bit
edit
about
that part out if this gets back to me.
Edit
that part out.
All good. But just if you could give us a little bit of insight into who Jose is as a teammate. We see him on the field, obviously beloved here in Cleveland, but as a guy in the locker room when the cameras and the reporters and all the media isn't around, what is Jose like as a teammate?
You know what? It's not far off from what you see is what you get. He really is kind of has that quiet demeanor. I had the younger Jose, but even he got sent down early, got called back up, and was going to do things his way. And the Jose who's there now is 1,000% my favorite version of him, and I think he would say the same thing too. The stats have always been there. This guy's been a top 3, top 5 MVP for how many years in a row now? But even before that, he had this little swagger to him. He's got that George Jefferson walk. He's got, he does not back down from anything. So he's got a quiet confidence about him where he knows if he does what he knows he can do, it works. So he doesn't question much about his game anymore. It took some time to get there, but the confidence that he's got now allows him to be the leader that he's turned into now, where that quiet, like, don't back down from anyone, anything in any game, whether it's ping pong or Mario Kart or the game of baseball, he carries that over. And it doesn't matter how big you are. If you're not backing down and you're the leader of the team, guys are going to follow that. So I adore this version of Jose, and I think it's the most fun one to watch.
Jason, rate the pick. Not the Browns. Wow. The Guardians ended up taking Travis Bazzana, first, second baseman, I think, to go first in history. What do you think of it? Was it the right move?
From the little reports that I read, this guy seems like a can't-miss prospect. He seems like a stud. I know he had an unbelievable season in college where he seems like he's getting better. His swing looks like it plays in the major leagues. He looks very balanced, all that stuff. It's what you want. And that's, if you want, I'm always, if there's a guy that looks like a can't-miss prospect as a pitcher, and I know there's a couple at the top where there's a couple hard throwing, where there's that Burns from like Wake Forest and some other ones. It's hard to argue against those guys. But if you have someone that you know is going to be a staple in your lineup for a decade, you're not really going to regret taking that pick too. He looks like a stud player.
Jason, what happens in 2016 if it doesn't rain?
I'm not taking this call probably. It's tough. I don't. Yes, we had momentum. I don't like to give it too much credit. You hear, look, I'm already gonna get. I got like goosebumps right now because I'm also getting angry too. At it. Just I've never gone back. I've never gone back and watched any of the games really yet. Still,
wow.
I've watched a few at bats of my own. I stop it after Rajay's home run and just assume we won. So it sucks. Yes, the rain sucks. It takes out the momentum because they were kind of shell shocked by the Rajay stuff, and but there's no telling. Without the rain, they could have then come out and scored 5 runs, and we never would have had even a chance. So that's a game of baseball. It happens. It is what it is. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Maybe a more positive question, and if you've answered this in the past, I apologize. I couldn't find the answer. But what'd you think of the nickname Dirtbag?
I loved it. It's a fun one. I got it from Manny Acta and I've played that way my entire career where I was about to say play dirty. I don't play dirty, but I get dirty and I'll die for stuff, head first slides, everything. So on the field of baseball, it's a great moniker to have. And guys respect it. Guys know what it's about and what it means there. So I love it as a sport. Off the field, it's not the best one to have because it's like you're walking down a sidewalk. You're like, hey, there's Dirtbag, and like parents are bringing their kids in closer to them, and you're like, what? It just doesn't fit out well. So, but in terms of sports, it's a great nickname to have that I loved.
What did you think of the moves that the Guardians made at the trade deadline, getting Lane Thomas and
Alex
Cobb?
I like it. Again, you guys are probably on top of this more, or you guys can attest this as well. Sometimes, maybe not at least until like the Andrew Miller or else.
We lost sound, Jason. That usually means he got a text while he was talking to us.
It was me.
We got him back. Yep, there we go.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Someone was calling. Yeah, it's as a fan of the team, just like I am too, as you guys are. You always want to go get the biggest guy at the deadline, and especially when you're in first place and you know you're going to be in the playoffs and you're going for it. So it's always disheartening in a way where you don't get the sexiest guy out there and the biggest name and stuff like that. And you're like, why not? We're in first place. But sometimes it's not what you need, and you still got to look at the future, even though you're set on this year. So these are good pieces to have, though. Cobb is a good pitcher. Lane Thomas is productive. Again, sure, I would have loved maybe a sexier pickup or a bigger bat or something like that. But when you have, if it ain't broke, don't fix it with this lineup right now on this team. If they're still winning games and doing it the way they do it, maybe sometimes less is more.
Something I'm real curious that I don't think I've ever asked you or someone, a veteran. You obviously have gotten extensions from Cleveland before, but when you're a young player coming up through this organization, they obviously have a certain way of doing things. And you probably know you're only going to be here 4 or 5 years, right? Is that fair? And do players talk about that at all? Do they know, like, I'm going to Cleveland and I'm probably going to be here through my controllable years, and then that last year of arbitration, if I'm pretty good and I'm looking at a big money payday, I'm probably going to be moved out of here?
It obviously ranges player to player. There's some guys where whether it's late bloomers, early starters, whether they're older college guys coming up or younger guys, everything depends on who you are as a person, how your career's gone up to that point. I don't think it's an automatic they're priced out. Maybe Lindor was the last one to be, but when there's guys like Hosey who can take a little pay cut and he's top of the league, so no one on the roster is pretty much above him. So none of that. Let's get this out of the way. Cleveland and every other team can afford to pay everybody. They make a lot of money. Teams make a lot of money, and that's the frustrating part is because why draft and develop good players if you're not going to keep them and play them or pay them? So that even as a fan, even as a player, you kind of get pissed off at that. So it really does range. But no, I think when you come up the ranks and you're in your first 3 or 4 years and the city's grown on you and you've come comfortable with the city and your home and whether you're raising a family there now, you want to stay. You're building something there. Yes, everyone likes the payday and wants to get paid and make that life-changing money. But if you can make that same life-changing money and stay comfortable where you are with the familiar faces who are friends now and family members to you, people want to stay. So it's not automatically assumed that they're going to go elsewhere.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your day to join us here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Make sure you check out Jason on Foul Territory with Scott Braun and the rest of that cast. A great baseball show for all baseball fans out there. Jason, thank you so much, man. Enjoy your car and your life.
You guys are awesome, and apology on my end for this taking so long. Appreciate you guys having me.
No
great. Worries. Thank you, Jason. That is the great Jason Kipnis, Cleveland Indians legend and all-time great dude.